Hi, everybody. It is episode 510 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. I am Chris. With me is Drootin.
Hello.
And Walnut.
I'm like 75% here.
That is more than usual, so I'll take it.
No, it's less than usual. Because like 25%. Actually, maybe like 85% here. I was going to say 25% of me is just broken at the moment, but 25% of me is in an ankle. But I can't use like...
Yeah, but most of you is always broken, so it's 25% more of you is broken.
I mean, it's quarter of my appendages I can't use at the moment, but it's...
That's 25%.
It is 25%, but it's... People usually break the body down in fists, because there's also the head.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes?
Yeah, head, yeah.
Man, that was one of the categories on Connections today.
It was.
And it was stupid. It was literally like the things you'd picked were head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And then the like answer for it were things in, quote, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. I'm like, what? Fucking
things,
what?
Things in the song, head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Yeah, but it's the things. There's 4 things in that song. It was there.
I mean, that's the things, though.
It was a dumb way to describe it, is what I'm saying.
The things, though.
No wonder you don't have an ankle right now.
That's mean.
It's also not true. Fault. You still have an ankle.
Only half an ankle.
Hey, that's kind of better than you had before, right? Because before you just had pieces of an ankle. Now at least it's like a solid half.
Well, I mean, if you want to get technical, we all have pieces of an ankle.
No, mine is one solid like thing.
How the fuck do you walk?
I hobble. My foot does not go up and down. I just move the whole leg.
Or left and right. It's just That's wild.
It's just one solid piece of bone into the foot.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I have no idea. It's warm today.
Yeah. My air conditioner's been on since yesterday.
Look at you. It's only May.
Well, I usually try to wait through May to get it on, but because of the ankle surgery, newsflash, all listeners, I had ankle surgery on Thursday last week.
Yeah, we talked about it last week too.
But because of the ankle surgery, I was like, fuck this, I'm not sitting around being uncomfortable in heat as well as being uncomfortable in general.
Well, plus, like, you can't just easily get up and go open your windows, right? Like,
well, I mean, my sister, she's usually up before me for work, so she was opening the windows for a while, and it's like, it's also, yesterday was supposed to be humid and rainy, which is why I turned it on yesterday. Today it's just above 85, which that's kind of my limit, is 85 and above. But like at some point next week, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, is supposed to drop down in the 70s again. So like I might turn it off and do like windows and stuff again next week. And I'm just going to be watching the weather like a hawk and like turning it off and on throughout the next few weeks, because I personally would much rather have my windows open than have the air conditioner on. Yeah,
like this time of year, it's just I would like to have the windows open when it's like 60 out, and like sometimes we do just because it's too nice not to. But then I'm just in agony with allergies, so it's one of those. I'd rather pay extra money for air conditioning to run than deal with allergies.
You should just get a new nose.
I have asked.
Like, I'm pretty sure there's like a sinuses procedure or something that could help with allergies. Or a shot. Can't you get the shot? Have you ever looked into that?
No, I don't like needles. But
it's actually our exterminator has looked into it. I've talked to him about it.
Yeah, he was telling me about it.
It's like a shot a week for like 4 months or something like that.
And that's actually one of the reasons I don't want to do it, because it's
But then after that, it's like once a year you get a shot and you're done. You shouldn't need pills. You shouldn't need anything. You should be fine with allergies.
So if I had allergies all year, I think I would look into that more. But it's really just spring and like end of summer, early fall. Like by June, I won't really have allergies anymore.
But you're missing out on the best times to be outside and have your windows open.
But I don't like it outside anyway.
Again, the best times to have your windows open because you're missing because of your allergies.
Yeah, but there's like bugs and people outside. I don't want to fucking deal with. I'd rather deal with bugs than people.
I don't blame you about the not liking being outside. I'm just saying, like, having the windows open is fantastic. It's
Yeah,
so
we
great.
we open the windows a lot in the fall. Like that's when I like to have them open when it's kind of chilly outside.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've had some chilly nights the past few weeks, but your
Oh,
allergies won't
We
let
also we can't sleep with the windows open anyway, because we're so close to the fucking train that when it comes by at 2:00 in the morning every fucking night and has the horn blowing for 15 straight minutes, it's real hard to get a good night of sleep.
Why does it blow for that long?
Because they have to legally blow the horn at every like crossing,
Right,
and
there's a couple of crossings.
And they have to do it like for like a certain amount of time before and after. So it's literally just 15 minutes while this freight train goes across those railroad tracks of just the horn. Because when we first moved in, we used to try and sleep with the windows open, and I would be up every night between 2 and 3 for hours because once I'm awake, I'm just awake.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it sucks. So we just started windows closed, and we have like the window AC. So even during the winter, we actually keep that on fan just for that like white noise essentially. But yeah, fuck the outside. Air conditioning.
The outside's great.
Um,
Honestly, if I could just play video games while outside, it's my dream.
nah, I'm good.
I mean, you could just take your whole setup outside.
But you see, that's a lot of work, and there's no plugs out there, which means I'd have to run extension cords, and that's a lot of work. No, that's the one thing I miss about being in the front corner of the house, and as opposed to the back corner of the house that I'm in now, is like I used to feel like I was outside because I would have the windows open, and I would be feeling the breezes come in, and I'd have the curtains drawn, and it'd be nice. But it's like it was also the worst spot because that area, those windows are old as hell, so they don't hold it in cool very well. So it just got really hot.
Really hot and probably kind of cold during the winter.
I'm fine with that. I don't care about you guys. I don't know if I've talked about this on here. My my heater turns off throughout the night in the winter. Like I love the cold. I love it. That I function. My heater runs so low. Like I think it's generally no higher than a 65 in my house.
That's about where we set it to, like right around 65 in the winter.
I think there was a while that I was even running it lower, like 63. But this winter, for some reason, this house was just that much colder this past year that I was fed up with shivering in my own house.
Which is funny because this wasn't a colder winter.
It wasn't particularly a colder winter, but just. And again, I think it has part to do with relocating my desk to the back corner of the house, where if I were in the front corner of the house with the curtains drawn and the windows, not the windows open, but the curtains drawn open, the sun's coming in, which is warming up the area that I'm sitting in the house itself. Whereas the back corner, the heater's there, but because it's the back corner, it takes and my computer is right next to the thermostat, it takes longer for the thermostat to register that it's getting colder, so the heater doesn't kick on as often. Plus, I'm away from any of the outputs of the heater. All the outputs are on the outer border of my house instead of the inner border of my house.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, so I was just a little bit colder than normal this year. That I just I had to kick it up a little bit. But I love the cold. I do. I love being cold. I love being chilly. I would much rather be cold than hot.
I mean, yes, I'd rather be cold than hot also. Being hot is just uncomfortable. It is much easier to warm up when you're cold than to cool down after you're really hot.
Yeah, and so in the winter, at probably about 10 o'clock at night until 7 o'clock in the morning, my heater is set to 52 degrees.
Damn.
Yeah. It's also, we're upstairs, which is 10 degrees warmer generally upstairs than it is downstairs all the time. So at night, it's already that much warmer upstairs.
Yeah, so we don't change it overnight, but it just stays relatively low. So you come out of the bedroom in the morning and it's oh, it's chilly out here.
Yeah, it's
So just related to outside, on Saturday when it rained most of the day Saturday.
It sure did.
We went to see Sum 41 at Skyline Stage.
Mm-hmm.
And oh boy, was it just a fucking mud puddle around where the AstroTurf is in that place. It was fucking hilarious watching people just not really paying attention, like nearly just eat it every time they tried to walk like across it. Because like, and Drew, like this will make more sense to you. We were standing like over on like the far side, closer to where like the food trucks were.
Okay.
And so we were like, there's that one tree like right up by the stage on that side. We were maybe like 20 feet back from the tree, but like right where like there's no grass anymore, like where like the path has just been walked so much that it is just a dirt path.
Right.
And from all the rain, it was just a ditch of mud.
Oh.
And like, so I watched so many people like walk through that and like do those like, they put their foot down and their foot slides out from underneath of them, and they kind of do like the Looney Tunes like scramble to stay up. Unfortunately, didn't see anyone fall, but there were quite a few like, there were people wearing like fancy heels and stuff like that. And I'm like, that is dumb to do at a concert regardless. That is even dumber to fucking do at an outdoor concert on a day that it rained all day. Like, the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah.
Anyway, Rich, what is on the agenda?
On the agenda, Drew went to the New Jersey Renaissance Fair. Cobb, you played Cryptmaster and Animal Well, and I watched the 2000 hit classic X-Men. Well, most of it. I did fall asleep off and on throughout it, but I mean, I've watched it a million times before, so I should easily be able to talk about it.
I mean, you've seen enough of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Drew, how was the Ren Fair? Yeah, you said it was the New Jersey Ren Fair?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
So it's up in Columbus, Burlington County. It's like 40 minutes away.
Oh, I did not know there was one up there.
Yeah, I don't know how long they've been doing it. I'm sure I could look it up, but I first really took note of it last year because of I don't know if you know Jacques the Whipper.
Yes.
No.
I figured Walnut would know you. I'm not surprised. He's on social media. He's this guy. He does all these run fairs. He does like parody songs while whipping, cracking a whip. He's also, I think, currently the record holder for most whip cracks in 1 minute. I know him and another guy have been going back and forth with the world record.
Okay.
But, he's very funny.
Yeah.
So
he used to be a TV personality up in Boston.
He was on NPR in Boston.
Okay. He was on NPR in Boston. His parents were carnies, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And his dad taught him how to whip while he was being a carny. And so then at one point, his social media career of being a TikTok whipper, of being this Ren Fair attraction, got bigger and paid him better than being on NPR in Boston. That he was like, "Don't quit my job and be a professional Ren Fair." Excuse me.
You all right?
Yeah, I just had something stuck in my throat. That's all.
Oh, okay. You sounded like you were like in tears. I thought maybe like you hit your ankle or something.
Oh, I was in tears, but it hurt. There's just maybe like a crumb or something just came up in my throat or something.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, that is a bad feeling.
I choked on nothing. But yeah, so his social media career just blew up from being a funny whipper. He's hilarious. He did I can't remember if you talked about any of the songs he has done, but one of the songs he has done, Cobb, is the One Winged Angel.
It's banned now. No one's allowed to request it anymore.
So people will request the songs during his shows, and somebody requested it once, and he's like, "This is the one and only time I'm going to do it." And so he did it. And it was really cool. He does a lot of like the pop parodies because that's what people ask him to do. A lot of the TikTok parodies and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, like unsurprising to nobody, or surprising to nobody. Like I never heard of this person.
But yeah,
sounds neat.
Yeah, it was, and so he was there last year, but I forget when it was that he was there, and we couldn't go last year because just timing didn't work out. So when I saw he was going to be there this year, he does 2 after shows, and one of them was the 18th, and one was the 25th. And so I was like, all right, I'll get the tickets for the 18th, and we all went up, and the weather sucked, but otherwise it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's way smaller than like the PA Ren Fair.
Oh, I was going to ask if it was like that kind of thing, because I've been to the PA Ren Fair before. It's neat, like with the human chess and everything.
Yeah, I mean, they had the human chess, they had jousting and all. Just definitely a smaller area that they're doing it. But, vendors. And
Did you get like a giant turkey leg or a Scotch egg or any of that stuff?
I did not. I thought about it, but actually they sold out of the turkey legs by the time we had gone over to get food. So,
New Jersey Ren Fair started somewhere around 2009, 2010, something like that.
Okay.
All right. It's been going on for a while.
Yeah. And, it's not that far. And it was nice, other than the weather, but they can't control that. So
Right. How close is it to the Columbus Mart?
Literally 5 minutes away.
Oh shit.
They're both on 206, I think it is.
Yeah, like whatever that main road is, kind of through there.
Whatever the main road that the Columbus Mart is on, it's literally right down the road from it. So we actually went there to get pizza before going to the Ren Fair.
Nice. Because that pizza at the Columbus Mart is pretty fucking good pizza.
Who gets food before going to the Ren Fair?
Well, when a whole bunch of people have hyped up at least Kate and Al's in Columbus Mart.
You never had it before?
I'd never had it before. Sarah had it, but I hadn't.
Yeah, it's like the place down the hallway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that pizza, it's way better than it has any right to be.
Yeah, it was really good. And also, for 4 slices, it was $10, where the cheapest, anything in the Ren Fair was $14.
Look, I stand by my statement. If you're going to the Ren Fair, 70% of the Ren Fair is food. I know it's expensive food, but who eats before going to the Ren Fair?
I mean, listen, also the food options there weren't, particularly great. Other than the turkey leg. Probably, but although shit, there was a barbecue truck that had booth that had a really good medievally type name, and I can't remember what it was. I wonder if there's a list of their vendors on there, because I was like, you know what, you're doing it right.
Yeah, it's funny when in 2020, like COVID times, we actually drove up there on that same road. Not far down from the Columbus Mart, there was a drive-through haunted attraction.
Okay.
So they had like you just stayed in your car and turned off the lights, and you just kind of followed a path through a corn maze, basically. And they had the actors and stuff there to jump out, and they had non-harmful stuff that they would spray on your car. Or you could get a tag that would say not to do that, but why would you go to this thing if you weren't going to do something like that, right?
Right.
So there's only 2 that I could see as being barbecue. One of them is Smoke and Addiction Barbecue, which probably wasn't what you were talking about. The other one I'm assuming is barbecue, is Hocus Smokus.
Yes, that's what it was.
Okay.
That is a good name.
But look, Hocus Smokus, mini donuts, waffles, Buddha Belly waffles. Let's see. There's a spice shop, Italian specialties, crepes, Kenyan food.
None of this sounds Renaissance. None of it sounds Renaissance.
I mean, Hocus Smokus, barbecue is Renaissance. I'm gonna say that. I'll
had I should have probably gotten some food from Hocus Smokus, but by the time we got any, we were there all day, so it wasn't like we went to the Columbus Mart and that was going to be the only food we ate the whole time. But kind of in between, I just didn't really wind up wanting to spend that much on food.
Just treat yourself. You're out.
Yeah.
Treat yourself. That's just my theory. If you're going out somewhere, treat yourself.
I don't disagree. But again, the weather kind of made it all a little less wanting to stand in line while it's raining to get food.
That is also fair. You don't necessarily want to stand outside in the rain and eat also.
Yeah.
But cool. I'm glad you had fun at the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. It's only $20 for a day.
Oh, that's not bad. Have you been to the PA Ren Fair before?
Yeah, it's been a while though.
Yeah, same. We went probably close to a decade ago, if not more at this point.
Yeah, probably about the same here.
We also did at that winery that they have that's on the same property. We did they did a murder mystery dinner around in the fall, after the Ren Fair had closed for the season. That thing was that we drove up there and did that one night. That was fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you just went and saw Jacques. You didn't really do much else, or you just walked around afterwards?
We just walked around, and then we stayed. We also had tickets for his after show.
Okay.
So we saw one of his performances during the day. Also saw one of Seth the Carney, who is Jacques' like co-person on his after shows. Saw some of one of his performances, and then just kind of walked around. I forget one of the other performances we saw while kind of just trying to be out of the rain for a little bit, because at least one of the areas they had was under like a big gazebo base.
Oh, that's nice.
So we did have the mini donuts. They were all right.
Or were they just donut holes?
No, they were like mini donuts. Although you know like the Hostess donuts kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like think that size and shape. I forget. I'm pretty sure Sarah just got like the cinnamon sugar or whatever. They were fine.
All right.
But yeah, it was nice aside from the rain. I'd say if I think they're still there the next 3 weekends, it'd be worth making the trip up if the weather was good and you had nothing else to do.
Good to know. Have you guys heard of Cryptmaster?
No.
Rich?
No, I don't think so.
All right. It's like a dungeon crawler, but it's all word based. Like
okay.
So it like you type in words to try and do things. It's super weird. I only played the demo because kind of hearing what the idea of the game was, and it's currently $22 on Steam. I'm like, and it also wasn't verified for Steam Deck yet. I'm like, let me see like what this plays like, and they had a demo, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna download the demo. So I played the full demo. So you wake up in basically like the underworld, and this creepy Cryptmaster guy kind of talks to you the whole time, and everything's black and white. At least in this part of the game. I don't know if color comes into it once you leave the underworld. But you're trying to leave the underworld, and you have no memories of who you are, what you are, where you're from, and you get like you have like a party of people too, who you don't know anything about them either, other than what their name and class is, and they're all like RPG classes. Like you have a rogue, a bard. I think the one guy was a barbarian, and I forget what they gave the last person. But she was a caster, and the way that like you kind of explore the game and all is it's first person. You just walk straight. It's tank controls, so you hit left, you turn left, and you walk straight again. And when you come to things, you type in words to like interact with them. So, and even the Cryptmaster will ask you questions occasionally, and you can answer them however you want. And depending on the answer, sometimes you will actually get kind of a funny response. But so like you'll find chests throughout the game, for instance, and you have like 6 attempts basically to like basically do 20 questions in 6 turns to guess what is in the chest or the crate that you find. And the Cryptmaster is like the one opening it for you, essentially. And you can have him touch or feel like either one of those, taste it, see if it makes a noise, or a handful of other things. You just type these words in, or any other kind of description for a thing you could do to something. And he will give you some sort of description on what he gets from that. And then it's kind of got like the hangman aspect where you know how many letters it has to be, and you're getting these descriptions, so you're kind of typing in words as you go. And sometimes when you ask these questions, it will unlock like a letter or two in the word. So then you can kind of look at it and be like, oh, like there's an L and a D at the end. I wonder if the word is shield. So you type shield in at any point during your guessing. And if it's right, great, like you get it. If it's not shield, you just kind of wasted a guess. And then with your party, each one of them has attacks that you basically have to learn by defeating enemies, and the enemies drop letters. And then those letters will fall into like their hangman spots for their abilities, or by correctly guessing the items in the chests, which will then take the letters in the word, and if they're in the current ability hangman, it'll fill those in. So like your like barbarian sort of guy, the first thing he gets is hit. It's a 3-letter word and it ends in T. And it's like, cool, I wonder if this word is hit. So you just bring up the typing dialogue, type the word hit enter. If it fits, you get like a little like triumph noise and like the screen lights up and it shows you that he learned how to hit things and what that does. Which that's a basic attack. It just does 1 damage. His second one was boot. So like kicking an enemy also does 1 damage, but knocks them back from you. Your rogue got jab was the first one. So I'm assuming like jab with a dagger. And then trap was their second one. I feel like they had a third and I'm just drawing a blank on it. And then you had the bard who yell was one of them. And that one took me fucking forever for some reason. Like I had ELL. I'm like, what the fuck could this possibly be? And I just tried a bunch of letters and never tried Y for whatever reason. And then his other one was shout. And yell does, I'm sorry, not shout, soothe. I know it started with an S. Yell resets the cooldown for the barbarian character. And soothe will heal one of your allies randomly. So if you have 2 allies that are injured, it'll just heal one of them, and you have to do it again to heal the other one. If you're not in combat and you do it, you can just kind of do it back to back until everyone is healed up. If you're in combat, there is a cooldown that fills up as you use other moves and other words. So every character kind of has a different cooldown depending on the move that you've used with them. And then your final character, I had crabs, which summons a crab to attack for you. Aura, which I didn't actually get to use. Like I unlocked that one right before the demo ended. And Shock, I think was the last one, which was basically, or Jolt, might have been Jolt. It was basically just a quick energy attack. And so yeah, like you'll go up to an enemy and you just have to quickly like type things in to do the attacks before they attack you. And damage is basically every damage you do is a letter off of whatever their name is, and vice versa. If your characters get attacked, it's a letter off their name. So the shorter their name, the less damage they can take. And 2 of the characters only have 3 letters in their names, so they can't take much damage. Luckily, I didn't have anybody die, so I don't really know what the consequences there would be, or like how you'd bring them back. But there's also there's some interesting stuff as you're kind of exploring. Like at one point you find out that you need souls to power a soul stone when you're not in the land of the dead. So the Cryptmaster is just like, yeah, just collect bugs. Just find the bugs kind of roaming around the place, and that you do. You find the bugs, you type their name, and it then gets like added to a counter in the soul stone when you find it, so that you can use abilities outside of the underworld. And then the 2 kind of last things that I thought were kind of cool and unique, because it would change depending on how you answer things, is at one point you find an altar. And when you go up to the altar, this weird like angelic figure kind of like comes out and is like talking to you, realizes you're dead and goes, oh, sorry, I'm just for the living. I can't help you. So the Cryptmaster, who does not like them, pops up and goes, you should break the altar. Like, that's what you should do. It's going to make you better if you break the altar. And they're like, so what do you do to the altar? And you can just type in what you want to do to it. I typed smash. And the Crypt Teacher's like, yeah, smash it. Smash it real good. That's great. Yeah, smash it. And then it's like crumbled over, and the angelic figure curses you and says they'll have revenge upon you. And I thought that was actually kind of funny. And then the final thing is I forget if they gave the thing a name or not, but it's basically a big eye in a door, and that is the like guard to let you out of this underworld. And you can only leave if you're a person and you have a soul. So that's where the soul stone comes in. But when you go up to them, they ask you like if you're you're alive or dead. So if you say no, they're just like, oh, well, then you can't leave. Come back when you're alive again. And if you say yes, you're alive, it then goes, all right. You say you're alive, but let me make sure you're alive. And the first question they ask you is, what was the last fruit you ate? So you just have to pick a fruit. And if you don't pick a fruit, you actually fail the check. And then the second question is, describe the sun. And you just put a word in that describes the sun. I put hot and it actually accepted it. I kind of wish I would have put something in that didn't describe the sun just to see what the response would be.
Square.
Yeah. Square, cold, dark, like anything like that. So yeah, it's just kind of fun and silly, and you can totally you can sit there in like the corner and just keep typing words in to try and unlock abilities. While there's an ability to unlock, you'll literally get like the little hangman lines at the bottom underneath one of the characters, and so you'll know how many letters that word is. You like for the barbarian class guy, I couldn't have typed in boot early and unlocked boot. I can only unlock the one that it's like currently on. But like you can still sit there if you have a couple letters like and just kind of like run through the alphabet and figure it out. But generally, because there's enough stuff to interact with and enemies to battle with, those things, enough of it gets filled in as you're going that it's not too hard to guess what the things are. The hardest one, like I said, was yell for whatever reason. Like YELL just did not come to me as a thing, even though like it kind of makes sense for a bard character.
Mm-hmm.
It makes more sense for a barbarian to have yell than it does for a bard to have yell.
I agree, but like I just meant more like it's a noise-based thing, and like so I was not always typing in things that like were like noise-based or anything. Like because I tried like bell, and I'm like, all right, well like bell's a thing like a bard might have to like make music with, and no, that wasn't it. But yeah, it's a cool game. I was playing it on Steam Deck. It plays fine on Steam Deck. Would not recommend playing it that way though. That intro area, I didn't run into any trouble, but I feel like as you're playing, the enemies are going to become more aggressive, and it takes way too long using like the D-pad to type words in, compared to what you would be able to do on just a keyboard. So that the game is definitely one that like you want to play with a keyboard and mouse so that you can quickly like type in the words you need to do the things essentially.
It's unfortunate. As you were talking about it, I pulled it up on Steam and just let it autoplay. And stylistically, it looks cool. But it's a fucking word game.
Yeah.
I ain't playing that.
Yeah, no, this is not a game for you in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
It also, like, it would be one of those, like, not great on stream, I feel like, to watch sort of games unless you had, like, some sort of, like community interaction going on for it.
It's fine. I'd play it on stream if I wanted to play it, but I just don't.
I know you would. It's one of those games where like I don't know that I would want to watch somebody play it. I guess is more the thing.
I mean, you could always help the person with it. Somebody could have been yelling at you, the entire time you were playing the game.
So that's what I meant when I said like community like engagement. Like if you had people like shouting things out to you, then like yeah, like that actually it makes it more of like a community game at that point. But just like watching somebody wander around a dungeon, like typing random words in sounds like, fun for the person doing it, not so much fun for the people watching it. But yeah, like the voice acting was pretty good. It had like a little bit of humor and stuff in things. Like if you type the word jump and it's not like a thing that you're actually supposed to jump over, the Cryptmaster goes, no. Don't do that until I tell you to do that. You're just going to hurt your knees. You're not a spring chicken anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. If it's ever on like a good sale, I'll probably pick it up just because it is something that I'm going to have to sit at my fucking computer to play it. And that's just less likely to happen. But I thought it's very original, super unique. And it was fun. It was, especially if you like word games or if you play like Connections or like Wordle and stuff like that. It's kind of in that vein, except, you're also killing things.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I played was Animal Well, which is something I mentioned last week because it was a new Metroidvania that came out recently.
Yeah.
And I know, Rich, you looked at it and you're like, no, not for me.
I don't like the art style.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It's got like that like 8-bit sort of vibe to it, but like also very shiny and flowy. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it.
The thing that I don't like about it is that it's all lines, like the vertical lines going all the way up and down the screen. I don't like that, and it's just it doesn't look. It makes me less interested about it.
Which is fair, but I'm actually gonna look it up because I don't know what you mean by vertical lines going all up and down the screen.
it's hard to explain.
Okay,
But,
I kind of see what you mean, like in the backgrounds and stuff like that.
No, it's literally like even the character is a blob, but he's got lines on him.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Or horizontal lines, not vertical lines. Horizontal lines.
Yeah, I see what you mean now. Sorry, when you said vertical lines, I thought you meant like things running from like literally the bottom of the screen to the top.
No, I meant horizontal.
Yeah, I see what you mean now. But yeah, it kind of walks this weird line between like a very retro like 8-bit style, but also this sort of modern neon with like the environments are very flowy. Like there's a lot of things that move with you in ways that an 8-bit game would not. And it's more Metroidvania in the line of like an Ori than in a like a Hollow Knight or a Metroid or anything like that. Like so far at least there's no combat I can really do. There are things that attack me, so I have to, avoid them at all costs. Like I got killed many times by this dog that you don't run real quick, at least like with what I've played so far. And the dog does. So the dog will catch you like 4 times before you can make it from one side of the screen to the other. And the motherfucker does just like pick you up and just like ragdoll you, then throw you down at his feet.
He loves you and just wants to play with you.
But like if you go to like jump over him, the fucker will also jump into the air and snatch you out of the air. I'm like, man, there is no way around you right now.
He loves you and just wants to play with you. That's how dogs play. They grab things and shake. That's how they play. He just wants to play with you.
But yeah, the little bit I looked up on it, besides playing it, like it has like the traditional like you're gonna get new abilities, items, and stuff like that to get through different parts of the game. So I just haven't gotten the item that will let me get past the dog. And the one time I ran past the dog and didn't die, it was one of those. It's like, oh yeah, I can't go any further this way anyway. So now I have to go back the other way. Luckily, there's a save point like right before the dog room, so I didn't really lose any actual progress. The only 2 items I've gotten so far are fireworks, like firecrackers, which you just find them around the world, and you can hold up to 3 right now, and you throw them and they explode all over the place. There are these like ghost things that it will actually like remove them from the screen, which is nice because those guys will fuck you up too. And then I have like a bubble wand that it throws the bubble out fairly close in front of you, and then the bubble will start to float to the ceiling. But you can actually jump onto it and then jump off of it again to get like a little extra height on your jumps, which is nice because you don't jump very high to begin with. The only downside is the bubble doesn't rise with you on it. So as soon as you jump onto the bubble, it starts going down again. So you have to kind of time everything right. But like the controls are very tight. Like you control really well. Like the movement feels really good. So making some of those tight jumps, even though they're not like Mario jumps where you're just like running and like leaping off the edge of the stage and hoping for the best. They feel really well. And if you miss one, you're kind of like, oh no, I just fucked that up. Like I jumped way too early. And like that, you find some other kind of interesting stuff to do with the bubble thing. Like I had one point where I had kind of worked my way up, and then I realized in order to get onto this weird little ledge, I could actually just ride the bubble down until I was kind of like at level with the opening I needed, and then just jump over to it then. So yeah, it's been cool so far. It does have the kind of like obtuseness of a Metroidvania though, where the game gives you no information when you start. Like, I don't actually know which way to go or, like, what I'm looking for. I'm just kind of going in a direction until I hit a point where I can't actually proceed any further, and then turning around and, like, going back and, like, taking a different path.
I love Metroidvanias. I love games like that.
Yeah, and, like, it's one of those... It's not full of, like, enemies where you're just... Like, like, in Metroid, for instance, like, if you get to the end of something and you can't go any further, you then have to go back and deal with all the enemies again. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have that. Like I said, there's enemies here and there, but a lot of it is more just traversal and puzzle solving and figuring out how to get to a point, and whether or not you can get to that point with where you're at in the game. Like, look, I've had this Steam page just kind of cycling for a minute now, And I saw like at some point you get like a yo-yo and a frisbee, and you can throw the frisbee for the dog so the dog doesn't chase you.
Yeah, yeah. I've been watching it go back and forth, and it's like it seems interesting. Like it's got good puzzles, and that's something we don't have a lot of anymore in games. Is puzzles.
Yeah, like, and when you do, they're like games that are just all puzzles, and that's a little less appealing all the time. Where this at least has like a little bit of the exploration and the platforming to go along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far though. I played probably like 2 hours last night. Because I played the demo for Cryptmaster, and that didn't take that long. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy this Animal Well game. It looks neat. People are talking very highly of it, and yeah, I had a ton of fun with it.
Nice.
Yeah, it is nice. It is. But Rich, I guess it's time for you to talk about X-Men from the year 2000.
Yeah, so I'm back on my weekly movie marathon, especially since I've got 6 weeks of nothing. So I'm doing weekly X-Men movies, and I'm watching them in release order. So X1, 2, 3, First Class, no, X1, 2, 3, Wolverine, or Origins Wolverine.
Was Origins after X-Men 3?
That might have been. I don't remember. But I'd have to double check. But so it'd be one, like wherever Origins is, and then First Class, and then would be Days of Future Past would be after that. No, it would then be X-Men Wolverine, and then Days of Future Past, and then I think Deadpool is in there, or and then Old Man Logan, and then Age of Apocalypse is in there somewhere, but you guys get the idea.
Yeah, so
I forgot that there were 4 First Class movies, not 3.
Oh, right, because Dark Phoenix, which nobody liked.
Oh, I forgot about Apocalypse. I was remembering Phoenix. I forgot about Apocalypse.
It's a shame. First Class and Days of Future Past were solid. Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, they just kind of lost it.
I don't think Apocalypse was that bad. It wasn't. I haven't seen Dark
They
Phoenix.
did too much with it. Like, it had too many moving parts. Kind of like the Eternals. It's not that it was a bad movie. It's just they were coming off Days of Future Past, which was really good, and Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix just didn't quite hit that. You also, don't forget, you have New Mutants.
Well, I didn't forget about that one. That's I knew that one was in there, but I was just there, and I'm also going to include Wolverine and Deadpool in this watch.
So New Mutants up until Deadpool and Wolverine, New Mutants will be the final one you get to watch. You lucky guy, you.
Well, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine comes out in like a month or 2.
Oh, that's right. That is like almost out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I think by the time I can walk again, it should be out. If not already out by then, if not already on demand at that point.
So that's 15 weeks worth of movies.
Yeah, it's a lot of movies. A lot of X-Men movies.
I didn't realize how many there were until like I actually looked at them on this Wikipedia page. Because you had the X-Men trilogy, and then the Wolverine trilogy, and then the prequel quadrilogy, then 2 Deadpool and a New Mutants,
and then Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of X-Men movies, which is why I chose to do X-Men. And so I watched the first one, and I will, like I said a few times, I was not fully drugged up at this point. It's just Saturday I watched it, but it's just like dealing with surgery recovery and everything else. I was just tired, and I didn't realize I was as tired as I was when I watched it. So I did like fall asleep here and there. I missed a few parts that I remember what I missed. I missed the senator turning into water. I missed.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I missed Professor X using Cerebro and getting hurt by what Mystique did. I missed the entire Statue of Liberty scenes. Like, I was just completely out of it for that. So I honestly maybe barely watched half the movie, but like I said, I've watched it a million times before that I remember pretty much every piece of it. And it's a solid movie. It's an enjoyable movie. It's not like definitely not the best movie in the world.
It's better than the third one.
Yep. I mean, that's the thing. I've seen that more than I've seen Phoenix. Or what is the third one called? It's not called Phoenix.
Last Stand.
Last Stand. I've seen X-Men more than I've seen Last Stand. I've seen Last Stand a handful of times. I argue about how does Professor X have his powers all the time when it comes to Last Stand. He shouldn't. He shouldn't have his powers at the end of Last Stand because his powers are in his blood. His power is to use his mind and to mind control, but his powers aren't in somebody else's body. So yes, he should have the ability to transfer his consciousness into somebody else's body, but at the end of that movie, and so specifically looking at Logan and looking at Days of Future Past, Professor X should not have, well, more specifically Days of Future Past and less Logan because of how Days of Future Past works. But specifically Days of Future Past, Professor X should not have any abilities, should not have any powers.
Well,
because
also
he transferred his mind into somebody.
In Days of Future Past, he also shouldn't still be Patrick Stewart at that point.
Exactly. Like, 100% agreed.
Let's be realistic. They basically wrote off The Last Stand, other than the fact that Jean died.
Well, I mean, they wrote off The Last Stand because I even though they say that the First Class movies were supposed to be in the same universe, they're obviously not. They're obviously not, because we have all different events. We have the Phoenix already in the First Class movies, and they were they were supposed to not know about Phoenix come Last Stand.
Yeah, I mean, the thing there that you're supposed to go with is by Days of Future Past, they have rewritten the timeline. So the stuff that happens from that point out ends up changing things. But like, they went crazy with it.
The point of Days of Future Past was to stop the Sentinel. And they never really had a major Sentinel issue in the movies that we had leading up to Days of Future Past. There's not a large Sentinel presence in X-Men 1, 2, and 3. There's not a large Sentinel presence at all in those movies, if at all. I don't think there's any Sentinels in those first 3 movies.
And in the third one there is, but if I remember correctly, it's like a danger room exercise.
Yeah, it's a danger room exercise. So it's like it's not even technically legit.
Look, man, those movies are a fucking disaster. Just to circle back for you, the whole like body or mind in a new body keeping abilities. They actually do this so they do it in the comics. Pseudo currently with the resurrection protocols they have. I have to sneeze. Hang on.
But those are clones of them.
They're not, though. That's the thing. Like they kind of are, but they're kind of not. It's weird because they can basically turn off their powers if they want to. Like there's been a few people where like they've brought them back and just turned their powers off.
I mean,
because they were a threat.
Genetics are a crazy thing. You can cloning. I could be cloned to not have celiac disease in sci-fi genetics, at least.
Yes. But the other thing is that the character Psylocke. Are you familiar with them?
Yes.
So they're the ninja lady that always wears like the one-piece swimsuit.
Yeah, it was Olivia Munn in
exactly
in Apocalypse.
So for about 30 years, that character, the ninja lady in the black bathing suit, is not that character's real body. The actual Betsy Braddock is like a British lady with pink hair. Who something happened to her and her mind she was a psychic mutant. Her mind got put into this other body, but her powers came with her.
I don't agree with that. I don't think that's how that works.
It does in the comics. Because
you can't put Wolverine's mind into Cyclops' body and have Cyclops have healing.
No, but I think the difference that they try to work with in the material is that the psychic abilities are more than just a genetics thing, like that their brain waves are altered or something like that, which lets them do the things they do. Because Professor X doesn't have he has telepathy. He doesn't have the thing that Jean can do, the
telekinesis.
Yes, that thing. So I think that's where the difference is their brains are powerful enough to do the brainwave things, but not the effect to other things.
I don't know. I don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. I've never agreed with that when it came to Last Stand. I was always like, there's no point in Professor X actually doing that because he shouldn't have his powers. But that's a conversation we can get back into in a couple of weeks. But in the first X-Men, like it's It's funny because I'm also currently watching the 90s series. Not 97 yet. I haven't gotten there. I'm on season 4 at this point. But I'm going back through the 90s series, and it's funny how much, like, compared to the 90s series they made, Magneto really isn't that much of a threat. And how, like, Magneto is just, like, he just wants mutants to survive. He doesn't agree with how Xavier's doing it, but, like, he's not very genocidal. But in the X-Men movies, he's super genocidal. And he's just like, oh yeah, all 9 mutants should just die.
Which that is Magneto in the comics too. Magneto is very much a humans have treated us like monsters. We should show them who the monsters really are, and we are like literally they are called Homo superior.
Yeah. Well, and that's like Magneto in the first X-Men movie. That's kind of his point. It's like, all right, we should show them who's better. They're like mutants. But his way to do it is to turn every human into mutants, which then ends up would be killing them. But yeah, it's just it's so funny to like watch and see these comparisons from these old things we used to watch and looking at this other old thing we watched and how different it is from, like, even as much as I can remember with Magneto in the First Class series. Like he detests humans. He absolutely does. But he's not, like, he isn't as much of that major threat as Ian McKellen is in the movies.
So I forget if it's the third movie or I forget if it was the Dark Phoenix or the Apocalypse one. But one of them does kind of show you that point where Michael Fassbender turns into Ian McKellen. Because one of them, he's basically like living in another country in like a mutant commune. Basically, he has like a family, like a wife and a daughter, and like his life is generally happy.
That's Days of Future Past.
Was that Days of Future Past?
That's Days of Future Past, because his family gets killed, and so he joins up with Xavier. Because
no, in Days of Future Past, they break him out of the prison in Days of Future Past.
No, in Days of Future, because the breaking out of prison scene is with Quicksilver. Yeah. And that's after Days of Future Past. That
is Days of Future Past.
No, because Magneto didn't have a family in Apocalypse, because Magneto in Apocalypse was trying to fight becoming the last Horseman. He didn't want to be the 4th Horseman of Apocalypse. Right. And then it wasn't until Apocalypse didn't even give him any extra power. He just taught Magneto, like, look, you've got the power to move the world, basically.
So it might be Dark Phoenix then.
No, because the breakout scene. There's 2 Quicksilver scenes. The first Quicksilver scene is in Days of Future Past, and the second Quicksilver scene is in Apocalypse. And the second Quicksilver scene is them breaking him out of prison.
No. You have them reversed. I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. Days of Future Past is the prison because Wolverine is with them. Okay. That is the first time with Quicksilver. In Apocalypse, it's when they show up and they actually destroy the X-Mansion. And Quicksilver just got there. And he runs through and saves all of the students because the school is actually full of people. And in Days of Future Past, it's shut down.
Right, okay.
But yeah, it's either Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix is where he had a family and the government destroys his family, so he goes super dark.
Yeah. But it's just it was I enjoyed watching it. I had a good time watching it. It was fun. It's campy, it's 2000s. And it's got like the one-liner of like it's I'll never forget the line where it's Cyclops sees Logan and is like, prove that you're you, and he's like, you're a dick. He's like, okay. And like
right.
Yeah, it was good. It's a good movie. It really does stand the test of time, in my opinion.
Is the first movie the one where no, that's the second one, because Iceman's not really in the first one. Like he's there, but
Iceman is in the first one and it is the kid who plays Iceman.
Yeah, it's Shawn Ashmore. But I was thinking of the scene where Wolverine comes in and grabs the warm beer, and or I think it's actually a root beer, and Bobby Drake like makes it cold for him. That's in the second movie.
That's definitely X2, because like Wolverine in X1 didn't want to have anything to do with the X-Men.
He wasn't as like gruff in the first one either, because he was still very much like, I don't know the right word for it. He just had more of that gruff Wolverine from like the second movie on.
Yeah, he didn't want to have anything to do with the kids besides Rogue. He was Rogue's savior, and that's the other, because like I'm watching it and I'm also comparing it to like all the X-Men things that I've watched, and it has a strong comparison to X-Men Evolution, because Evolution came out around the same time that X-Men X1 and 2 came out.
Oh, that's true.
Where Evolution, literally the main character of Evolution is Rogue.
Yeah, because of the movies.
Yeah, and it's because of the movies. You're right. And
it's a shame, because frankly, the movie Rogue is the worst Rogue.
She is. She's the worst Rogue. Evolution's Rogue is fantastic. If you've never had a chance to sit back and watch X-Men Evolution, I highly suggest that. X-Men Evolution is a fantastic series.
I like the end of the first or second season when Cyclops and Havoc get like, they turn into like super buff like bodybuilder dudes, because they can, for whatever reason, getting control of their fucking energy beam powers makes them super buff.
Well, what it is basically Magneto has Asteroid M at that point.
Yeah.
And he created a thing that helps mutants control their powers, but in doing it's basically like a hyperbaric time chamber type thing. And so like they just learn to control it, where Cyclops can take off his glasses. I don't know why he can't control his powers.
He had a head. It was a head injury as a child.
I know it's generally a head injury, but like I thought like sometimes it's like a horse hit him in the head. Other times it's like a car crash. Like it's always different.
It changes depending on the thing. That like in the comics, it was like a head injury when like the plane crashed that his parents were on.
Yeah.
His mom died and his dad became a space pirate.
Yeah. Which that's in the '90s series. Is his dad being a space pirate? But what was I saying about it?
So what you're saying before about like Wolverine like having that like sidekick thing, it's funny because that was also Kitty Pryde in the 80s, like Shadowcat. That was the original like, let's pair the gruff angry Wolverine with like a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what they did. They paired him up. I think she's 16, maybe even 18 in the X-Men movie.
She's under X-Men. 18 because I want to say in the first one at least she's probably, like you said, like 16, 17, because she's still a minor in high school and can't just leave.
She couldn't just leave? I thought like
she was also Canadian.
She ran away.
Well, yeah, she ran away from home, but she was a minor.
She's Canadian with the strongest, thickest Southern accent.
Yeah. I mean, look, have you not...
she wasn't Canadian. No, she wasn't Canadian. Because she's planning a trip to Canada and Alaska at the very beginning of the movie.
Oh, is that what it was? I thought
but she's like north, she's like Midwestern. Like she's from like okie dokie country.
Well, yeah, I mean she's supposed to be from the South. Like, I mean, the way Rogue talks in the cartoon is how Rogue kind of talks in the comics, like with that like Southern drawl. But I honestly thought she was, because like Anna Paquin is Canadian and Wolverine meets her in Canada, so I kind of thought, or what I've always assumed was Canada. So I just assumed she was Canadian.
Let's see.
Also, Wolverine is Canadian.
Apparently, she's from Mississippi, and so she just planned a trip to go from Mississippi all the way up through Canada.
All right.
Yeah, because like in the very beginning movie, they show her. I had to look it up. They show her like her travel plans.
You know what? I don't think I ever. I mean, it's been a long time, and I just don't think I ever put that together.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to go through and watch these. I love the end where Wolverine takes Cyclops' motorcycle again, and Cyclops just has this look of expectancy but disappointment.
Yeah, I will say they did a good job with like those two.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think what's his name was the best choice for Cyclops, but like they're kind of like Tobey Maguire. There just weren't a lot of other choices for that character.
Yeah,
but him and Hugh Jackman, like the antagonist sort of thing they had going like worked really well in those movies.
It's also casting a character like Cyclops is kind of hard because, as far as I understand, Cyclops is generally a disappointment to X-Men fans. And so you're kind of casting a character for an actor who, like, the actor's gonna know that people aren't going to necessarily enjoy this character. And so it's kind of hard to find the right actor for this kind of part.
Yeah, it's funny. Like Cyclops is one of those things people either love him or think he's the just captain of all the douchebags.
He's the absolute worst. He's the absolute worst. It's the other thing is like they're very good and subtle with the Wolverine Jean attempted romance, where it's basically just Wolverine's attracted to Jean in this, and that's about it. But when it comes to X-Men 90s, it's so fucking creepy anytime Wolverine just fantasizes over Jean.
Yeah.
They don't mention any reason as to why he's absolutely head over heels in love with her. It's just, oh yeah, he is, and he's obsessed with her. And it's creepy as fuck.
And I don't think at least I hope they didn't do that in Evolution.
No, they didn't, because
he was like a full-on adult, and
Wolverine was an adult, and yeah,
schooler.
she was one of the high schoolers.
That was the weirdest part about Evolution is they all went to a regular high school still, but were also just X-Men at Xavier's school.
They went to high school with the Brotherhood, and Mystique.
Oh, that's
They all knew Mystique was the principal or whatever too, but like they kept it cool during school, and they weren't fighting. That. Yeah, it's great. I loved Evolution. It's such a good series.
Stupid cartoons are funny.
Yeah. But yeah, so next week I'll be watching X2, which to me is probably the one X-Men movie I look forward to the least. I know you guys were saying that Last Stand sucks, but I don't think X2 is all that good.
I think X2 has some of the better kind of stuff in that original trilogy. I don't know that it stands up today. Like the First Class and Days of Future Past are significantly better than all three of those original trilogy movies.
Yeah.
But like The Last Stand just had a lot of missteps with they added too many characters, and those characters just didn't necessarily work in them.
Juggernaut says bitch, man. He does the meme. He does the meme.
Exactly. Like he does the meme.
Well, yeah, so we'll
like the whole serum to cure mutants, and like the whole side plot with like will she, won't she, with Rogue getting it. Like I think part of it for me especially is like I don't dislike Anna Paquin in a lot of things. I fucking hated Rogue in these movies. She was the worst fucking character the whole time. She never did anything good in any of the fucking movies. And Last Stand had this whole subplot of whether she wanted to still be a mutant. It's like, she fucking doesn't. She doesn't. She hates her fucking power. Just write her out of the movie. Like, you guys failed a character that is actually really fucking cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, Rogue written in these three movies is bad. It's just bad writing. And I really hope that, like, bringing her into the MCU, they do better for her. Because she is a great character. Like even in the 90s commercial, in the 90s cartoon, she struggles with that because like there is that sequence with Apocalypse where like they say, oh, they could cure the mutant gene, and Rogue just decides she wants to go do it. But it turns out being that Apocalypse is trying to form his horsemen.
And it's different in that because you have like Rogue in that like has like more things that have gone wrong and right for her. Mm-hmm. Versus in the movies where like all you see is her life go poorly.
I mean, in the 90s series, because it was season 1 when they do all of the Age of Apocalypse stuff. It's literally is season 1 when they do Rogue wanting to lose her powers. You don't know anything about Rogue. You don't know what like her history. So it's kind of just like, oh, she just wants to touch people again. Which, to be fair, perfectly reasonable want to lose your powers. I just want to be hugged. It's perfectly reasonable. 100%. But, like, it's not until later seasons where you find out, like, the tragedy that was Rogue's life. And the fact, and like, they brought it into the X-Men movies that, like, she almost killed the first boy she kissed and stuff like that. But it is a constant reoccurring theme in the 90s cartoon that it's like Rogue just wants to be hugged and wants to be touched and wants to know the touch of somebody else.
Yeah, I forget what they did in the comics, but like I don't know whether she has full control over it or if they've just done something else, but she like can somewhat control her powers in like more modern comics.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if they're going to use Rogue as a way to end like the Captain Marvel stuff in the MCU.
No, I don't think they'll do that.
Like Brie Larson's contract is up, so they're just like, all right, we're going to introduce Rogue now.
No, they'll kill Captain Marvel.
Well, that's how you kill her. Accidentally
Yeah,
have Rogue kill her.
You put her in a coma and have Rogue take her powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think they would do that. I think Captain Marvel is too popular of a character for them to write her off.
I don't know. That last movie didn't do so well for them, so they might be looking.
I mean, no movie's doing well for them because no one's going to the movie.
I mean, there is that. Also, their movies haven't been good in a long time, so...
I disagree. I personally think that both Ant-Man and the Marvels were good movies. They weren't Phase 1, 2, and 3 movies, but they were still good movies. And that's the problem with it, is everyone wants Phase 1, 2, and 3 tier movies, and after 10 years, you're not going to get that good anymore. You're going to get good movies. You're just not going to get that good anymore.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I think my complaint more is it is just the same movie over and over again, which is why I'm not enjoying them anymore. Like, there's just not a lot of... They've kind of just run the course with action joke. Though, to be fair, I have not seen the Marvels, and what's her face? I can't think of the girl's name that played Miss Marvel on the show.
Iman Vellani.
Yeah, like, she was fucking delightful on the TV show.
Yeah.
And what I heard of the movie was that she was the best part of the movie. Like, not that like the movie was bad, just like she shined in it.
Yeah, she was fantastic in it. Like, I thought The Marvels was a great movie, and I also feel that the Ant-Man and the Quantumania was a great movie.
Oh, see, I was bored as shit on that one.
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was fun.
I'm pretty sure Drew liked it too, right, Drew?
I haven't watched the friggin' Marvel movie since fucking Endgame.
It's called Yes and Drew. It's called Yes and.
No, it's called I'm agreeing with Cobb. It's bad. There.
That's fine. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Boring.
It's there. You yes
it's
and
so
you
boring.
Improvise.
I haven't even cared to watch it.
Or did you watch it and it was so boring that you just forgot you watched it?
Could be. Honestly.
We don't even know. Who knows? Also, I just realized Endgame was 5 years ago. Holy shit.
Yep.
We have now caught up in the timeline.
Yep.
That's nuts.
Well, I mean, I guess we have caught up in the timeline, but like, for every year that movies are released, that was the next year, I assumed. So, but
I mean, yes, for the most part.
We had almost an entire year at this point without a new movie. So
wait, no, Marvel's was just back in November.
Almost. That's only 6 months away, and the next movie isn't for another month and a half, right?
Yeah, so I did see that they apparently did announce. Bob Iger said they're doing no more than 2 Marvel movies and like 3 series a year or something like that, or vice versa. Yeah. I'm like, haven't you kind of been doing that with the movies for a while now?
No, well, it's because of the strikes that they really stopped.
Yeah,
was releasing and whatnot. But I think they originally had planned 3 movies last year.
They released 3 last year, didn't they? Wasn't last year Ant-Man, and Guardians?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Guardians was last year. Guardians is great too.
So the last one I have seen was Ant-Man, and I saw that like after Guardians 3 had come out, and I'm just like, wow, I don't like these anymore, and I just never bothered with Guardians or the Marvels.
Guardians was great.
You know, like after the Infinity movies, like I just don't like the Guardians like story arc anymore. Like where it went is just like, yeah, no, I don't care.
There's only been one Guardians story arc since the Infinity movies, and it's Guardians 3.
No, but like in the Infinity movies, I don't like where all that stuff went. Like I don't like the whole like Nebula or Gamora stuff. Like nah, I'm good. I don't need to see how that wraps up.
Yeah.
But like to each their own. Like I'm not saying that you shouldn't like it.
No, I know.
I stopped caring.
No, I know. Look, when you have 10 years of movies, 10 years of a series, it's going to take its toll on people. Why do you think I don't watch The Simpsons anymore? I don't care. 20-something, 30, almost 30 years
No, it's over 30. I think they're up to like season 33.
Yeah. It's same with I used to watch Family Guy every week. It's been 15 years plus. I just don't care anymore.
Dude.
I'm the same with like Doctor Who. Like I've been wanting to rewatch Doctor Who. I stopped like maybe half a season into Jodie's first season, and it was just like I'll wait. Just never get back into it.
Couple of things to circle back on. Apparently, The Simpsons is actually on season 35. Mm-hmm. So there's that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Family Guy is fucking 25 years old.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which fuck that. Yeah. And also I think Doctor Who you wouldn't have fallen off on as much because I did too. If the showrunner for the Jodie seasons just could tell a decent story, like I watched that whole first season. Those episodes were not fun at all.
No, I didn't hate the couple of episodes I watched. There were other things I wanted to do and watch, and to where I was just like, I'll just watch this when it all comes out, and I just never cared to go back and watch it when it all came out.
You know, that's fair then.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with like being bored or not liking it. It was just it's also too much content.
Mm-hmm.
There's too much content, and
like
so
you really can pick and choose what you want now.
Yeah, like you can pick and choose because that's the unfortunate thing about how much content there is that you can pick and choose, but it also turns into you don't really have anybody to talk to about it with. I can pick whatever I want to watch, but most likely a lot of the things I'm going to watch, you guys aren't watching because they're not the next big thing anymore. There's no Lost. There's no... I can't think of anything beyond Lost, but like there's no X-Files. Like there's no that thing everyone sits around to watch anymore.
But it's also... It's not even just that. It's nobody is watching... Also, fucking X-Files. People aren't compelled to watch it the day it comes out anymore. Like you don't have that water cooler mentality anymore where you have to have seen the episode when it aired so that you can go into work and talk about it. We actually there was a repeat a couple nights ago of The Big Bang Theory on, and it was one of the later episodes or one of the later seasons, and they're literally sitting at lunch trying to figure out what to talk about, and they're just like, oh well, like have you guys watched like Walking Dead? And two of them are just like 2 episodes behind, 3 episodes behind, like, and they just like went in a circle like that, like naming shows and be like, oh no, I haven't watched it yet, like I'm this many episodes behind. I'm like, yeah, no, that is accurate for today. Like, unless you actually tell somebody like, hey, watch this so that we can talk about it, like,
yeah, and even then, like, I know a lot of people, and there's nothing against anybody. It's not that they don't like people, and it's not. And I'm not saying this is to be against the people that do this. Like, I know people out there that like, if you tell them, "Hey, this is really good, you should check it out," they're a little bit less inclined to watch it because then it feels like, oh, they're telling. And it's not them trying to be like anti-societal or anything like that. It's just like, oh, you're telling me what to do. No, I'm not going to watch it then. Like it's just kind of like a strange mindset where people aren't going to sit there and watch something that somebody else tells them to watch. But you could sit here and talk it through between some people and be like, hey, maybe we should watch this together. Maybe you should check this. Maybe you'll like this kind of thing. But it's still everyone's got no time on their hands anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's where like watching something with somebody is where like you have the exception. Like if you were like when Walking Dead was big, like you came over here a bunch to watch Walking Dead, and so did Dave Venafra. Like it would just be like a thing where like people were watching that show when it aired, so like people would come over and like we would watch that week's episode. But like there isn't a show like that right now. Even like the big shows like House of Dragons comes back soon. Like I know that's going to be super popular. People want to watch it, but you're going to have people watching it the night it comes out. You're going to have people watching it the next day, the next week. You're going to have people waiting for the whole season to air and then binging it.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe Stranger Things will be the next big thing because it'll be the final season. So you'll have people that binge that whole thing in a day and like want to talk about it. But
then again, like it's going to be the final season and each episode's going to be an hour plus long. and there's going to be at least 8 or 9 episodes in that, and it's like
That's a weekend.
that's a weekend for sure, but it's also like I've got other stuff to do on the weekend.
No,
I'm not.
you clear your schedule that weekend.
No, I'm not. I'm not clearing my schedule to watch. Do you know how long it took me to watch the most recent season of Stranger Things? Almost a year.
Did it
to
really?
watch. Yeah, it took me a while to get around to watching the most recent season of Stranger Things. I haven't seen the last 2 seasons of Umbrella Academy. I think they've had 2 seasons since I watched the first and second season, and I haven't watched anything since.
I think they've only had 1 season since then, and the final season is still coming. But no,
Yeah.
we're the same. Like we didn't watch the 3rd season of Umbrella Academy. We never watched the 3rd season of The Boys.
I still have not seen a single episode of them.
Yeah, and like there's other things I'm like drawing a blank on. There's things that we've started and then just
There's shows I want to watch that I just haven't watched. Invincible. I really want to watch Invincible. Never watched it.
I have not watched the 2nd season or the little spin-off they did of that.
Yeah.
There's some shows where like we've watched the majority of the shows and just never finished it. Like we watched Riverdale every week because that show was fucking stupid.
And then like for instance, Jujutsu Kaisen was on Max for the longest time.
And now it's not.
And now it's not. And now I really want to watch it. And they're going into what? Season 3, Season 4? The only way I can watch it is Crunchyroll.
Yeah, technically season 3 is what's going to be coming out because there was season 1, the movie, and then season 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even like Attack on Titan, we watched the first 2.5 seasons of that and then just kind of stopped.
I mean, that's fine. You don't need to watch the last season. I'll tell you all about the last season.
And we didn't even watch.
There we go. That's the last season.
We didn't even watch the entirety of the 3rd season. Apparently, where it finally gets good is apparently where we stopped.
Poorly reasoned genocide. That's the final season. Is genocide ever properly reasoned? No. But this is the worst reasoned genocide. Genocide for just the sake of genocide is literally the final season.
That sounds about right. That I did not enjoy that show, which is part of the reason why we kind of dropped it.
I thought that final season, although the action was good, I thought the story behind everything with that final season was just garbage.
You know, it's funny. Like Eric and I were actually talking about this the other day. Everyone always points to that show as having these amazing action sequences and all that. And in the first 3 seasons, that show is just fucking boring. The fights are not good. Like, it's giant fucking monsters rampaging, and occasionally you have somebody do like a 5-second cool little spin attack. And that's that.
There's a lot of style in that series. You're right, though. It just does happen fairly infrequently. But there is a lot of style. There's a lot of good action. There's a lot of, like, tactitional work that goes into a lot of the stuff that happens in that series that really makes it super interesting. And, like, did you get to the part where... No, this first season, you should have gotten into it. Where they were chasing after the girl. Like, that got really good, and that got really interesting when they're chasing after the girl Titan and stuff like that. But then just there is just a lot of boring. There's a lot of just dialogue and a lot of nothing.
That was either season 1 or season 2, because both of those were actually fairly short. But it's like, it was over before it even really got started, and I'm like, this isn't entertaining. And I think part of it is people hyped it up so much. It's just like, oh, this has like the best fights and the best animation. I'm like, it's like mediocre. It's super fucking boring. The characters aren't interesting. There's no one to fucking root for. Everything just kind of, there's no lightness in the series at all, which I get. Like it's not supposed to be, but like something like that, like it's too dark all the time to the point where it's just, yeah, no, this you have to just want to watch fucking depression.
And it gets even worse and even more confusing in the last season because there's a fucking 4-year time jump. And none of the characters really look the same as they did prior to the time jump, and it's just not that.
Yeah, I mean that sounds about right.
I don't know. That's our rant on there's literally too much content out there. You don't have to watch it all. 100% agree with that. You don't have to watch all the content, but there's just too much content out there that I do want to take in that I can't. It's too much. Like
there's definitely stuff I want to watch too that I just don't.
And it's like you make mention of like, well, to me from time to time, like, well, maybe I should stop watching Scrubs or How I Met Your Mother or whatever other series I'm watching for the umpteenth millionth time. But it's like, I'm not watching those. I'm watching those because I'm falling asleep. I'm watching those because I'm tired. I'm not going to fall. I don't want to fall asleep in the middle of an episode that I'm watching where maybe it's the second episode of the night and Netflix goes on to play an entirely another episode after. That's why I watch so much of these sitcoms. A, they're comfort shows, but B, it's just because I'm sleeping by the time I'm watching these shows.
Which like is totally valid. Like you need the noise to go to sleep, so it's easier to just.
No, it's not. It's yeah, but it's not even like it'll be midday and I'll be falling asleep watching the show.
Okay, that's different.
Because like it'll be like I'm just tired. So I'll put on Scrubs, but I'll end up not falling asleep. But I won't really pay attention to it for the last 5 hours. And this weekend is an exception because this weekend I was just out of it for most of the weekend. I think I watched 3 seasons of Scrubs in one day or something like that. But I didn't watch any of it. I started to watch X-Men 90s, but started to fall asleep after second or third episode. In my opinion, Dark Phoenix Saga, not as good as the Phoenix Saga. And I was bored by it. So I started to fall asleep.
I remember the cartoon version of that not being as interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was like it was mediocre the mind control person took over the mind of Gene.
Well, like the thing you have to like always think about too is in a lot of, especially the older comic storylines, like some of these things were only across like maybe like 3 or 4 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like 6 at most. Like comic book storylines like pre the 90s were actually super short. Like Galactus in the Fantastic Four. Like you think of Galactus, you think of like a big threat to like the superhero stuff. Mm-hmm. His first appearance was 3 issues. Well, 3.5 issues. It was the Silver Surfer appears and announces the coming of Galactus. Then the Fantastic Four fights Galactus. And then in the first half of the 3rd issue, they defeat Galactus. And then Johnny Storm goes to college.
Yeah.
Like, and nowadays you get these 42 issue long storylines. And yeah, now they're a little more like, they're elaborate. There's more to them. So when they translate those to cartoons or movies or whatever, they just have more material to work with and can make those like feel fully fleshed out. With the Phoenix Saga, that was, I want to say it was 5 episodes, the Dark Phoenix Saga in the cartoon, and like 3 or 4 issues. And
Dark Phoenix was it 5? I don't remember.
Maybe it was only 4. I don't.
Phoenix was 5. Dark Phoenix, I think, was like 4.
But even then, it's 4 20-minute episodes against 20-page comics, like of the same number. They're basically doing like, they're not page for page because that stuff just didn't do that then. But they're basically page for page, and like the pacing is going to be shit for that.
Yeah,
it's like when anime does it. Like they're too close to the actual source material, so they're like, well, we're just gonna adapt one chapter of the manga at a time.
We're just gonna be boring for a couple of episodes. My Hero Academia.
Oh, are you done talking about the X-Men?
Yeah.
All right. So this is quick, and I'm not going to spoil anything major. But I caught up on My Hero over the weekend. The manga.
The manga. Mm-hmm.
I think it's almost over.
It should be.
The fight's done.
Okay.
The fight against All for One is done.
Okay.
I'm not saying what happens, but like the outcome has been decided. So like it can't go on much longer. Like I am sure it'll have a couple months of like wrapping things up. I'm sure there's going to be like, I think for the most part at this point, all of like the major villains have either been like killed, defeated, subdued, what have you. There's definitely a whole lot of like collateral damage. There's a lot of characters that we don't necessarily know if they're dead or alive at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So like hopefully we get, some chapters of actually wrapping things up and letting us know how things go. But like, yeah, took like 4 fucking years, but the war is finally over.
The war that takes place in a week from where I'm at in the series is finally over.
And honestly, the brunt of it has only been like a fucking day.
The war takes place in about a day and a half. Quick question it's still on My Hero. Remember 3-4 years ago when it was like, hey, stay off the internet because a major spoiler thing happens in the manga and people are spoilering it and it's a major big thing.
Yeah.
Was that figuring out who the traitor was?
Yes.
Okay, so that just happened.
Okay, so did you get to see Hagakure too? Did they do that whole thing?
Yeah, they did a little quick flash of Hagakure, like, controlling Ayama's powers, and, like, it showed her hair and face and color and whatnot.
But basically because her powers refracting light, so...
Yeah. But, like, she's reflected his light a handful of times throughout the series, and it never exposed her face.
So I think because of the way that it was done in this case, because they actually have that happen one more time near the end of the series too. Not with his power, I don't think. Mm-hmm. I think it was like another villain had like a laser power that like shot it off, and she like bounced it off of herself or something. But yeah, that was a big one, and I feel like there was one other major thing that like happened that people were just like, "Oh, like avoid this. It's going to be a while."
I don't know. There might be something that happens to Bakugo. I remember seeing something about something happens to Bakugo maybe about a year and a half ago.
Maybe. Is the Star and Stripes stuff done already?
Yeah, Star and Stripes done. It was over across 2 episodes, but it was basically an episode. Because they do. The first episode, they do the brunt of the battle with ending with her using the lasers to keep him from regenerating while the Tiamat missiles were coming at her.
Okay.
And then the next episode is her final attack and his response to it.
Okay. Actually, do you mind one small spoiler that you're not going to see for like 2 years?
Not really, no.
It's not the outcome of anything, or it doesn't impact like a character. So the like minor spoiler for like one of the last couple of chapters of My Hero. They have a fucking endgame moment with like portals opening up and heroes showing up.
Yeah.
Like at one point there's like a double page like spread. It's just the fucking endgame moment. It's literally it's like Deku and some other people standing around all like on their last legs, like trying to hold off the enemy, and all these fucking portals open up, and all the heroes from all the different fights that have like wrapped up over the last like 6 years all start coming through the portal as backup. I'm like, well, somebody watches fucking Marvel movies.
Of course. I mean, that's the thing about these movies. He likes to take, like... It is an homage to things. Like, it's a big homage to Star Wars. Because a lot of the naming conventions of like, Tatooine and things like that. Like, he likes to throw homages to things. And so it really makes sense that they threw an homage to Endgame.
But that... And, like, that whole scene does kind of, very much like the Avengers Assemble moment finally happening in Endgame, there is, like, one of those, like, okay, like you know what, good job, like, bravo.
I get emotional every time I see that. As soon as I start hearing Black Panther go, "Yeah, Bombay," I just start crying. In 7 years, when they finally animate this, have a box of tissues ready. I will.
I will say, like that, once they've wrapped up all of the... I hate to call them, like, fodder, but, like, all the fights that didn't really fucking matter, like... Do you know the lizard dude? Like, that's a villain? Spinner, I think his name is?
Yep.
Like, he's fighting, like, maybe the dude with the tail and the animal kid? I don't remember. Like, literally, it's, like, fodder fights. Like, no one really gives a shit. There's some like societal stuff that goes on in that one, but it was so long ago I don't really remember it, and I get it. Like the heroes that don't look normal, or the people in the world that don't look normal tend to get like
metahumans.
Yeah, like the ones that like Spinner, who looks like a lizard, or like the kid that can talk to animals, or the kid that can like grow extra arms. Like they don't look normal, so people kind of like
racism.
Yeah, racism is the right word. I could not think of a word to go.
Racism isn't the right word because it's not race that handles it as prejudice.
Prejudice. There you go. That is better. But like a lot of the fights like that, where it's like, okay, yes, like that's a villain that's been around, and you're giving like the class 1A character a chance to like do something because they always get overshadowed by Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki, but at the same time, you're just filling up chapters. Like you're just making this take longer when really we just want to see Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki fight. Like the main villains.
Yeah.
Like, you want to see Todoroki fight his brother, and you want to see Bakugo fight somebody.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't matter who. You just want to see him fight somebody. But yeah, like, once all of that stuff wrapped up and it got to, like, the core fight with All for One, and kind of like the stuff that led up to that, it did sort of... It got interesting again. And I had stopped reading last fall, so I had quite a few chapters to catch up on, because there's 2 to 4 chapters a month, depending on their release schedule.
Yeah.
I had basically stopped right before it did kind of like get its shit back on track and got legitimately interesting again. So I had a great time of it. Literally, I read to the point where, like, the last issue I read, the fight was like finished. I'm like, wow, I picked a perfect time to catch back up on this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like the final stuff was actually not too bad. There were some flashbacks that actually worked well, where, I mean, you watched Naruto, you know, flashbacks during fights usually just slow shit down.
Yeah.
In this, like, they could have not had them, and I feel like it would have still been mostly the same, but having them it was able to give a little more emotion to what was going on elsewhere.
Yeah.
Which is always, like, that's good. That there is actually good storytelling.
Yeah. Hopefully they just do it better in the anime and not spend an entire episode on a flashback that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, so my biggest worry with that is either they are going to make the next season the final season, which I'd be totally fine with, or they are going to really fucking stretch it out and try and do like 2 or 3 more seasons, because it is such a popular series, and the shit's just going to go on like the fucking the fourth Shinobi War, and you're gonna lose interest by the time it actually gets to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Which would suck, because yeah, it at least the major fight wrapped up pretty fucking well.
Yeah.
But guess we'll see. Oh, speaking of fucking Naruto, apparently Boruto now knows Flying Thunder God.
What's Flying Thunder God?
Minato's teleportation.
Oh, okay.
Not sure how he learned it, because I feel like everyone that knew how to do that got killed.
I mean, I'm sure it was written down somewhere in the tomes or something like that.
Maybe. I mean, he also spent like 3 years training with just Sasuke because he's a criminal right now.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. Maybe Sasuke figured it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was funny. I saw it online the other day. I haven't actually read it. I'm like, how would he learn that thing? Like, there were like 3 people that knew how to do it, like, during the war, and I'm pretty sure they all got killed during the fucking war. And if they didn't, they're all they think he's a criminal now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's probably a show, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's a show.
Yep.
All right. Next week we have a book club. I forget the name of the movie though. Something about everything.
Theory of Everything.
Thank you. So yeah, next week we'll be watching and talking about The Theory of Everything. And if you'd like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcast, YouTube, because it's YouTube now,
Yep.
Spotify. Yeah, we are, every episode is now uploaded and public on YouTube, which means it should show up in YouTube Music. There's links in the actual show notes and on the site itself. But yeah, you can also find us on Spotify, and we're on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo, and you can always send us an email to social1-quest.com. Rich, what is your streaming?
Twitch.tv/B_1 is for video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Starting Monday next week, I am playing Pacific Drive, that was my YouTube Let's Play series on Wednesdays, as a stream game, because it's just going to be better as a stream game. So definitely check that out. And if you want to catch up on how everything is the way it is when I start playing on Monday, you can watch it on YouTube. But also, June 8th and 9th is my 3-year stream celebration. Come make me get all the moons in Super Mario Odyssey, and let's just have a grand old time. Look, if we can reach, I'm thinking probably close to 100,000 bits. If we can reach 100,000 bits across the 2 days, I'm gonna shave my beard a bit. So you should definitely, if you want to see that and see that cosplay of me being Andre the Giant from Princess Bride, you should definitely donate those bits.
Go donate bits. Do it.
Do it.
Do it. I don't know. I kind of want them to do it, but I also don't.
You're like, I don't want to shave, but if you do it,
Look,
I'll shave.
The thing is, 100,000 bits is $1,000, give or take. So it's a lot of money that I'd be getting.
That is real money just for some hair that'll grow back.
Yeah, that is real. That's a decent amount of money that would help me with my bills, with my medical bills and whatnot. Like in a perfect world, I would get like 300,000 bits and get $3,000 to help me just pay for my medical bills right up front. But I'm probably not going to get that. I'm not holding my breath for that. But you know what? That's one of the ultimate final goals for the stretch goals. Some of the other goals is going to be the one chip challenge. Another goal is going to be playing the worst game I ever played to completion, because I refused to actually even really play that game beyond one level. It was like the last Mega Man X game.
I was gonna guess if it was Mega Man X or not.
It was the final Mega Man X game, whichever one that was. Or playing my favorite game on its hardest difficulty, which would be Resident Evil 2 Remake on its hardest difficulty. Or a bunch of other things that I'm trying to figure out what to do.
And when is that again?
June 8th and 9th.
All right. So yeah, June 8th or 9th, go watch him suffer.
Exactly. No, I wouldn't be suffering. I'd be playing Mario Odyssey. That game's fucking amazing.
Yeah, but we want you to have to play Mega Man X.
And that's you're not going to be watching me suffer when I get to until I play Mega Man X. Go make
same idea.
Is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, give him bits or boops or whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, I think with that, we'll be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you.
Bye.